Hello, so today we're going to be going over a Poppy reroll game. This is actually going to be the Poppy Hero Augment if you've never seen it before. It's because I didn't get a chance to play it in PB. I never got it offered a single time. I played quite a few games in PB, so this is going to be the first game where I actually get to try it out. So I think I made a mistake here. I don't know where the mistake is. Am I crazy? Let me just go back like 1 or 2 seconds. I think it's right here, yeah. So I decided to sell this Poppy. So this is, I'm just pointing out this mistake really early on because it does influence my decision here, right? So this is 1-3. It's right before going. I think I meant to sell the Blitzcrank, right? I want to keep Poppy to play like Seraphine, Poppy, and then you can play Zoe, and there's like a little like setup that you can do where you get Fairy and you get Scholar and you get Witchcraft in. Right, so here's Zoe, and then you play like 1, 2, 3, and then the Poppy as well. I think here I don't even buy this Poppy because basically what happened is because I sold the Poppy, I'm like, you know, I don't have I already sold the Poppy by accident, so I'm like, I guess I just won't play towards this Seraphine Zoe line, and instead I'm gonna play towards like, you know, some kind of hunter maybe. You know, maybe I can play like Shapeshifter into like hunters or something else. And as you can see, I'm starting to sell some of the fairy units. And I'm making space to like make Econ because it is Scuttle Puddle, right? So Scuttle Puddle, it's very often that you don't make Econ the first round. I get a Kog'Maw. I'm thinking, okay, I have good Kog'Maw items. I'll play Kog'Maw reroll. And then we look here, Portable Forge, really risky. There's a lot of game-winning scenarios with it, but I hate playing towards it because then you're just forced into one comp. And I feel like a lot of this set, that's what's happening. I'm trying to get used to it. I'm getting really tilted on stream, but that's mostly because I'm not that great, not that well versed in it yet, so I'm getting frustrated more so than anything. And then, you know, I see all of these and I say, okay, you know what, I'll just take Witchy Wallop. Now I don't know what the best Poppy items are, so I did check the stats a little bit. I'll pull them up right now. Now I should have held on to the Poppies. I think a trait, something I literally forgot that there was a Poppy Hero Augment because I wasn't able to take it. But you'll see a lot of times I'll buy Elise's, I'll buy Nunus. Whenever there's like a Hero Augment, I always buy copies of that unit because it's so important in terms of enabling being able to play the Hero Augment. So obviously, I would have been in a really good spot this game if I held the 2 Poppies instead of selling one and then deciding not to buy the other one. I would have been 5 out of 9 Poppies, and that's why you should always hold on to it, right? I'll write it in big letters here. I'll be like, hold on to Hero units, right? It's always important, right? It doesn't matter if you hold the rest of the units, but always hold on to the units that have Hero Augments because out of nowhere you can just get offered the Hero Augment and then you can have a very easy game where you can just like play for a top 4 pretty easily and be in a good spot to play towards it. And I didn't do that, so I just want to start by pointing out that mistake. I always point out my own mistakes. I criticize everybody when I criticize other players in my lobbies. I criticize myself. I'm always trying to figure out what the best things to do is to learn. And yeah, that's just the first thing I wanted to say for this video. Now we're going to go through some of the stats. So I think stats are, it's early in the set, right? So be very cognizant of like, you know, the fact that like some of these statistics might be bad, right? They might not be proper, really strong in terms of like telling us everything or the full picture because there's not that many games that were played, so the averages might just like skew into different ways. Witchy Wallop looks like it doesn't look that good, right? If you remember like a lot of the Hero Augments, if I go Poppy 3 Witchy Wallop, it averages a 4.6. That's a lot worse than I thought. If I knew this ahead of time, I would never taken it. I felt during this game that it was very weak, and then I checked the stats afterwards, and I was like, wow, this is so much worse than I thought. You have like a 50% chance of a top 4, locking yourself into a reroll comp for a 1 cost, right? A lot of times with the Hero Augments, things are like so much better, right? Like let's take like, for example, the Blitzcrank one. What's it called? Zap Attack? If we go Zap Attack and we go any, and then you go Blitz, like already Zap Attack is averaging better. If you go Blitzcrank 3, it averages like a 4.09. That's a lot better, right? It's closer to a 4. You have a 60% top 4, right? It's not as, right, compared to like some of the 2-cost ones that are really broken. I think Spider Queen Elise is like insane, right? I think this one's the strongest 1-cost, right? Maybe it's just me though. I felt like this one was so broken. Actually, the stats on it are pretty bad. Maybe they're all bad, the 1-cost ones. Anyways, let's go Poppy 3 Witchy Wallop. And the first thing when you're structuring the board, if you look here and we're just looking at what the placements are of the traits, obviously 8 Witchcraft, really high cap, 3 Preserver, 4 Arcana. These are all really high cap variations of these boards. We're kind of scroll down this list here and look at what the highest placement is based on something that's reasonably hittable, right? 2 Preserver, these are things that are like, you know, in these really strong boards, you have like these extra +1s. We're looking for like what the strongest vertical trait is, right? We see 6 Witchcraft as the first one. Let's keep our eyes on that one, right? 6 Witchcraft, and then if you keep going down, 4 Scholar is really good, and then 8 Bastion is really good, but 8 Bastion you usually need a Spatula, you need to be level 9. So if I'm looking at all of these, and then 6 Bastion is really far below, and 4 Bastion is really far below, right? So from what I interpret here, and then 2 Witchcraft and 4 Witchcraft are pretty bad. What I interpret is that you have to play vertical Witchcraft, right? That is the easiest vertical trait to play. So when I'm trying to structure my board and think of what my board I'm trying to play, we'll open up a team builder right over here. What I want to do is I want to play vertical Witchcraft. Now obviously this might be that like the augment's really bad and you're just playing it for how do I phrase it, like you're playing around, let's go Poppy, right? To play 6 Witchcraft, you have to hit all the Witchcraft units. Maybe it's just that the board's bad and you're playing around having a Witchcraft +1, and that's what's really important with the Poppy augment. We'll check that in a second as well. But basically, I want to structure a board kind of like this. This is like a very fast 9 oriented board because you need to hit this Morana. But basically, if I'm playing around this board, it's probably playing like an Incantor or a Scholar as well as a Bastion. I think the best thing to play whenever you're playing these 1-cost comps where you have like a lot of rerolls, I would just put in Arcana, right? And then if I level up, I can play Preserver, and that probably solves my whole board, right? Something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then level 9, just fit in a Preserver. What's the best Preserver we can probably play? Let's just say it's Rakan, right? Something like this is probably like a really high cap, strong board if we're playing around 6 Witchcraft. Witchcraft don't really synergize well with each other. And the problem is with this, as you can see, there's no real like frontline or backline carry, right? Because your Poppy is basically your main damage, and your Poppy is your main carry, as well as your main tank, because it's your main frontline unit. So a lot of times you just, I think that's what makes this hero augment really difficult to play around. A lot of times with the other hero augments, you usually find these creative boards where you have like a backline that does a lot of damage that helps support your frontline. Here it's kind of like Poppy all or nothing, and you need really good items on the Poppy. Right, so because the Poppy whenever you have like a Poppy or a frontline unit that you need to like win out, a lot of times healing is really good, right? So as we can see, one of the best items is IE. The other one is Bloodthirster. It has a lot more games played, so I'm more of a believer in Bloodthirster. And you can see it says IE, and then it says Hodge, and it says Sterix, right? So double healing like is usually really good. You just want the Poppy to sustain as much as possible. Poppy's Bastion, so she's gonna gain armor and MR, and the way that her Witchy Wallop works, as well as her own trait works, is that she does like a bunch of damage, and that's why IE is probably really good, because she just like slams her hammer onto three times and then hits multiple units and does a shit ton of damage. If we're looking at augments, like Unleash the Beast, obviously, like that's one of the ones where you can like hit, but there's nothing that really puts you at a really high spot. Obviously Witchcraft Emblem helps you hit that 6 Witchcraft threshold, or maybe even 8 Witchcraft if you get 2 of them, but there's nothing like crazy in terms of it. It's just usually like Frontline or Witchcraft, or dealing with like Bastions or Potions. Nothing like out of the normal here, so to speak, right? Anyways, let's go back to the game. Obviously this is still early in the set, that's why I wanted to do it kind of like this. I thought that maybe like working through my thought process would make the game look a little bit more understandable. So here what I did is I made double healing on Poppy, and I'm trying it out, right? I don't know exactly what the best board is. I haven't found somebody that kind of like explained it in a way that makes sense to me of like what the best board is either. Some of the other rerolls, like they're a lot easier to figure out, something like Nunu and Spider Queen Elise, because like it's a little bit easier to understand. Here, because like the best performing thing is 6 Witchcraft, it feels really weird. I don't know if this is the right way, but I'm gonna try and play towards 6 Witchcraft. So here what I'm doing is I'm just rerolling for this is a common 1-cost reroll line. It's just not really played because it's not that high cap, but I'm basically rolling for Zoe, these 4 units, right? Zoe, Seraphine, Lilia, and Poppy, because basically I get 2 Bastion, 2 Fairy, 2 Witchcraft, and then I can level for Ari to get in Scholar, and you can play with Zoe as a backline unit. So that's like my main idea behind it. And I'm going to play this to stabilize. I'm going to try and hit Poppy 3 to stabilize, and then I'm going to go as many levels high as I can in order to play 6 Witchcraft. right? That's the thought process. I'm holding Hecarim Ahri because I'm going to play Hecarim and Ahri in place of some of these other units in order to get Arcana in, so maybe I can get some extra damage, extra durability. I'm not in a great spot. So here, like, you know, Golden Quest I can't really do because I need to find this Poppy 3, so I'm not going to be saving up money in order to get like a 5 cost, so that's going to be bad. Spellblades, maybe. None of these are like a strikeout really crazy augment, so I'm just rolling to see if I hit something that really helps my front line. I find Heroic Grab Bag, that kind of saves me. Now, as soon as you pick Heroic Grab Bag, if you ever pick a duplicator augment, a lot of times, it depends on your skill level, obviously, right? Or when I say skill level, it depends on how your lobby is playing the game, right? A lot of times when you're playing a reroll, it makes a lot of sense to take a duplicator because, like, oh, I'm playing a reroll, I just get a duplicator, I hit the units, right? If your whole lobby is playing reroll and you really have to tempo and hit the units as early as possible, then it makes sense to get the champion duplicators, right? In this case, I'm taking it because I need to get bailed out. I didn't hit the Poppy 3. Obviously, I took this augment without being in a good spot. This is why you always have to be in a good spot. Imagine if I had those extra 2 poppies that I didn't buy. Remember, I sold 1 poppy and I didn't buy it, and I pointed that out before. That has a repercussion later in the game. That's what happens in TFT. A lot of times these things add up, and that's how you get yourself into a bad spot, right? Because I don't have the Poppy 3, and I'm going to be in a risk of like losing this game. It's also Scuttle Puddle, so the people that are ahead, like this guy, he's going to go straight to level 9. He's going to be so far ahead of me. If I'm stuck re-rolling for this Poppy, I'm going to lose instantly because Scuttle Puddle gives so much gold that other people are going to get so far ahead because they hit their boards, and me, that I'm building around this particular build, I'm going to fall very far behind. I'm actually explaining this because I stream live, so I was explaining this while streaming live. Now, the repercussions of taking a Heroic Grab Bag is like, yes, it stabilized my game, it saved me, that's totally cool. The problem is because I don't have a combat augment or like a resource augment or anything that like helps me to scale into late game, my overall cap of my board is going to be a lot lower. And that's like the that's what ends up happening, right? When you're playing in a lobby, this is what I was trying to say before. If you're playing a lobby where everybody is knows how to play their boards, really strong, playing very optimized or a lot more optimized, what ends up happening is you'll see that Heroic Grab Bag is a really bad augment to take a lot of the time, because if you're not in a good spot to play the reroll, you shouldn't be playing it anyways, and that's why you shouldn't be needing to take Heroic Grab Bag. And most of the other people are going to hit their boards anyways, and then they're also just going to be up a gold augment because they're going to hit as many units as you did, except because their spot was better for it, they're going to do better, right? Obviously, like at the beginning of the set, stuff like Heroic Grab Bag are always going to be a little bit easier to play around because it's like, oh, I just hit for free, I don't have to get dizzy with the new units, I don't have to worry about the new units. In this case, it was like a bailout for me. So that's like how my early game went, and that's how like my structure and my gameplay and my ideas for this particular comp went. And now I'm just gonna level up and try and play Witchcrafts, right? I already found a Fiora. I can fit in 4 Witchcraft. If you don't know how Witchcraft works, at 2 Witchcraft, enemies take extra damage, kind of, or like they do like what's it called? They get like a debuff. At 4 Witchcraft, enemies heal the lowest percentage Witchcraft unit, which is really strong, especially if you're playing around like a Poppy frontline where the Poppy has to go infinite. You need the Poppy to like gain that extra healing, which is why double healing in the first place is really good here. And then at 6 Witchcraft, you do bonus true damage. With 6 Witchcraft, the bonus true damage, what ends up being is basically extra damage for all your Witchcraft units on units that are cursed, because Witchcraft, the way it works, it curses enemies. And then 8 Witchcraft, it turns into frogs. I've never seen it in a game yet. It's very hard to get to that point because you need 2 spatulas, right? Here I'm leveling up. I put in Ahri. I put on Ahri. It's probably on Hecarim actually. And then I'm greeting my items a little bit. Now I could make Even Shroud on the Poppy to make sure that she always has Shred wherever she goes. But I'm kind of trying to greed as much as possible because I want to make like a really strong last item on the Poppy, as opposed to just putting like a generic tank item. As you can see, the Poppy jumps around and hits everybody. Right, it was really strong that I became strong this stage because I need the gold to level. I'm not in the greatest spot. I'm 40 gold, level 6. I'm holding all these units on my bench because I'm trying to see if I end up re-rolling any of them. I should definitely be trying to make higher levels of econ and level up a little bit harder, but it is what it is. And then in the meantime, I'm just playing 4 Bastion. 4 Bastion until I hit the... I do have 4 Witchcraft, I believe, right? Because there's the Nico here, and I have a Cassiopeia here. So I could drop it to 2 Bastion, 4 Witchcraft, but I think it's just more important to have the extra front line right now. And that's why I'm playing like this. We'll see a bit later. Some of the Witchcraft units are going to be contested, so it's going to be a little bit awkward, at least for me, to play some of them. But basically, I have all the Witchcraft units minus Morgana, which is a 5 cost. It's going to be really hard to find the Morgana. So we're going to hope for the best here. As you can see here, I'm getting stunned. My Poppy's not doing that great. And now I'm going to, I'm going to try my best to beat this Syndra board with a Syndra 1, which I should be fine, right? I have double healing on Poppy, so the Poppy should sustain herself. The main thing is, I think in terms of items, it's kind of awkward, right? So I'll show my last item pick after this, but we'll see how it goes. Like I said though, like looking at the stats, it's a little bit awkward because the set just started, so some of the stats are probably going to be inaccurate. Usually I like to wait like around a week. So when I'm pulling up the stats, it's mostly just for inspiration. It's mostly for, hey, this is something that looks like it's doing well. Try it out. If it works out when you try it, you're good. You know, it's a good idea. If it doesn't work out when you try it, it's not good. Right? That's like the idea that you should have when you're looking at stats. Especially early in the set. It's like, what could be good? And then you try it out. Here, I pop this open. There's Edge of Night, and there's Quicksilver. I'm looking for a Poppy item, right? We'll pull up the stats for the Poppy item. I take QSS here. Now, in terms of the Poppy items, IE was probably better. I can't really make IE. Last Whisper. But as you can see, there's not many items that are good after you make Bloodthirst. There's Bloodthirst or Hodge, and then you probably want to make Sterix. And Sterix might be skewed in the stats because it might be skewed towards having the Sterix item augment. Like there's an augment where it's like if you get a Sterix, it gives you bonus attack speed. And that's the one that's really good with Poppy. So like the performance of Sterix might be, see if I'll go here, Unleash the Beast. This is like gain a Sterix and you gain attack speed. So it might be skewed Sterix. So I don't even believe Sterix is necessarily the greatest, but maybe it's good, right? I took QSS because I was worried about my Poppy getting stunned. It says Edge of Night's better on her, and it says stuff like Titans. I could have made a Titans that it says it's a little bit better performing. For me, the reason I took QSS, even though the games are really low, take it with a grain of salt, obviously. I'm trying to make it conceptually what I think it does, what I think it will help me with. And what that is that when my Poppy gets stunned, right now my Poppy is like the hero, right? The Poppy literally is doing everything. There is nothing else I can do besides just hope for the best. Pandora's is bad. All of these are bad. Holy shit. I needed a combat. Do I even take Pandora's? No. I think I have to roll Pandora's. Or I have to hope the Radiant item is Giga. Do I roll Pandora's? Oh. I think I roll Pandora's. Yeah, and I just take roll the dice. This is fine. I wanted a combat, but I don't hit one. I'm not really itemizing anybody. Basically, Poppy's doing everything for me, and I'm trying to fast 9 off this Poppy. Not necessarily get to level 9, but like fast 8, fast 9. Right now, Poppy is my main damage dealer, and she's my main tank. If I put Edge of Night on her, and she procs Edge of Night, that's really bad. Because she needs to soak up damage, right? She's going to soak up damage, she's going to heal. I don't need her to make all my other boards die and then her get overwhelmed, right? I want the aggro to be on her whenever possible, and then if she can, de-aggro. Like it doesn't make sense to me. What does make sense is stuff like this, right? When there's a Nami and there's a lot of stun on the board, right? With Eldritch, the Eldritch Beast, and all of those things, I would prefer that my Poppy just continually does damage and continually heals, and she kind of like drain tanks. That was my thought process behind QSS. Now, it says it's bad in stats, but there's only 100 games played with a Bloodthirster and a QSS and the Hero Augment. So it's really hard to believe whether or not it's good or whatever. But QSS gives attack speed. It gives crit chance, which crit chance is good on her because like the same way IE seems like it's really good on her. And I want to make her immune to stun because I am worried that I will just, like, if she just stops attacking, then she stops healing. And that's the whole point of this build, is that she has double healing so that she like continually heals. She attacks, she heals, she attacks, she heals, she casts, she heals, and she just keeps drain tanking. I need her to keep attacking, right? If she gets stunned for a single second, she can just die in one hit, right? Now my items here are pretty shit. I make Even Shroud on the Nico because I'm hoping that I get Nico 2 or Nico 3 maybe eventually. It's probably Stoneplate on Nico as well. I'm a bit slow to slam my items. Obviously, I'm very confused. Early in the set, this happens a lot, obviously. I wouldn't look at this and think to myself like I'm the greatest player ever. I'm obviously not. And especially early in a set, I'm going to get very confused. And that's what I am right now. I took this Radiant items. I put on Fiora as well because like I didn't find a Prismatic Combat. Maybe it was take Pandora's and then I just reroll my items into really good Fiora items. Because Fiora is going to be like my main extra unit that I play on my board. But, you know, it is what it is. But like I said, I'm just trying to play towards finding a Morgana. Here I don't really need a tier, but I just take it because it's like, okay, I guess I just take this because, whatever. I think if I was in a better spot though, when you play this comp, you probably want to reroll Zoe. Because Zoe's probably like your main damage dealer besides, like Zoe does a lot of damage. But imagine if I, instead of just rolling for Poppy, I had Zoe 3 and this 3 as well. If I had these units upgraded to 3-star, because they're all 1 cost, so it's pretty efficient to roll for them all at the same time. I think that's what would make the board really complete, because I would get the Bastion as well as the Scholar, and my Zoe would stabilize my damage by a lot instead of relying solely on the Poppy, right? Here, let's probably just make red buff, blue buff. Red buff, blue buff, Gargoyle for Nico. I don't know what I'm going to end up doing. I didn't make that. I just made frontline items because I'd rather have 2 frontline items on Nico and then red buff. I guess that makes sense. Now Nico can take some of the aggro off, because with 4 Witchcraft, then Nico's going to be really hard to kill. It would have been nice if I could have made Declaw for Nico. I think it's like one of her best items, but it's okay. Yeah. But I don't expect to win too many of these fights because I don't have anybody besides this Poppy. But this is what I mean by Poppy not getting stunned and drain tanking, right? If I had a little bit more damage on my board, which is obviously at fault of me not hitting some of the Witchcraft units, I definitely think I needed to hit like a Poppy 3, right? I think I should have rolled at a lower level. Make sure that I stabilize around the Poppy 3 and itemize the Poppy 3 instead of playing around these units, right? I'm pretty close to hitting Nico 3 though, which is really nice. If I hit Nico 3, I'm just rolling to 0 here. I'm just like, you know, there's not much to do. But I basically have this red buff on an Ahri. This is what I mean by this hero augment. It feels really awkward because the Poppy being like a tank, and then you want to play vertical witchcraft according to the stats. I think it's very high roll, and I'm waiting for the stats to get a little bit better. I'll obviously post an update on this if I get to play it again in a better spot with like better stats out, so I properly know how to build the unit and the board. But I'm gonna say now, I think something here is greatly wrong. I think you either need to hit Zoe 3, you need to hit like Ahri 3, like one of these has to be a 3-star, right? Because you just don't have the damage, right? The Poppy is good early, like she's good now. I'm punishing boards that didn't hit everything, right? Like this is a board where this guy's stuck on level 6 and he didn't hit his main carry yet. So it's like I'm gonna eat them for lunch, obviously, because my Poppy's gonna go like hardcore, right? He's gonna kill everything. But it's like at this point in the game, it's like I feel very unstable, right? I feel like if I play against any board that has like a really strong itemization, it's just over, right? Like this guy with 5 pyro, I never beat this, right? I'm just gonna get instantly annihilated. But anyways, it's still fun. I think this is a really cool augment. I think it has the potential to be good. It's not like absolutely like, how do I phrase it? I feel like it's not it's not bad. It's not like very bad. It's just not like, you can't play it from not a good spot. You know what I mean? I wouldn't take this augment again unless I had like 3 poppies on my bench, right? Unless I had like an upgraded Poppy and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hit Poppy for free, I wouldn't play this, right? Here I'm trying to think who I sell and who I rearrange for my board. I want to hold on to a Cassiopeia always because other people are rerolling the Syndra board and they might hold on to Cassiopeias I'll never hit. And if I find a Morgana, which, wow, guess what? Morgana. Let's sell. This is where I'm going to be really bad at the game for a second. Basically I have to sell this and I also have to sell Taric. So yeah, that's my fault. I should also make Sterix maybe, because Sterix is really good on Poppy apparently, so then maybe if I get a remover I can put the Sterix on the Poppy. Kind of just grief. This is just me being dizzy. So it's basically what I have to do is I have to lose 4 Bastion, and I think I was confused because I thought that I could fit in the board and have 4 Bastion as well as 6 Witchcraft. That's just wrong. So I have to lose 1 Bastion unit, put in Cassiopeia, put in Morgana, right? Hitting the Morgana is really strong because if I'm able to make it to level 9, then I can fit in a Preserver, and then my board is basically what I wanted to make originally, where I have like Bastion, Preserver in, and then 6 Witchcraft. But 6 Witchcraft, this is what I was aiming for. So for Science, we want to put in 6 Witchcraft. So I put in Morgana, and this is what I mean by this is where I'm confused, right? Because in my head, I'm thinking like, who do I switch out? And yeah, I'd switch out Tarek. So I have to sell Tarek, and I could put... the problem is my items are bad. Because this last item I made Morello, even though I have red buff. So now I have like double anti-heal items. So the items are really, really, really shit. And that's my bad. I should have made like either Sterix or like anything else with this belt, honestly. Because now I'm just going to double itemize this Morgana. Because it's 6 Witchcraft Morgana. I assume she's going to do something. It's just bad. Because I could have easily made like even a Warmox is probably better on Morgana, right? Just make her tanky. Like, I'm totally down for that. This is 5 Pyro, so this guy has an Execute. So it doesn't matter if my Poppy, like, starts casting. It's like, as soon as she drops below a certain amount of health, she's just dead. So it's a pretty bad matchup for me in general. Like I said, shaky start, shaky mid game, a little bit dizzy on the end game. A lot of room for improvement, obviously, but we're gonna drop a couple placements because of that. We're aiming for 4th here, right? This is just, we just go for 4th. Right? Maybe if I hit Nico 3, I'm saved, because Nico 3 is going to be so hard to kill. It might take some of the load off of the Poppy in the front line. But realistically, I'm just rolling to 0 here. I'm not really going level 9. It's going to be really hard because I'm basically like 1 or 2 lives. I'm rolling for Fiora. I hit a second Morgana. That's totally cool. Maybe I hit Morgana 2 off Carousel. So, you know, gotta sell the Xerath, play the Morgana. Give up on my dreams of going 9. Hopefully we can stabilize just to get our placements, right? If I had more HP, if I was in a better Poppy spot from the start, this game, as you can see here, imagine, like, how do I phrase it? Imagine if my opener was better, I didn't have to take heroic grab back, and I was a little bit stronger. I could have easily made it to 9 this game instead of having to roll this turn. And if I made it to level 9, I fit in Preserver. Preserver makes my whole board heal percentage maximum HP. It's going to help out the Poppy, it's going to help out the Morgana, it's going to help out everybody. At that point, it would probably be very strong. Now, that's the reason why this augment is probably a little bit, like, considered weaker. Because whenever you're playing an augment, it's like, it's easy. All you have to do is hit the 3-star and then make it to level 9, right? You know, look around with, like, shady eyes. It's like, did you just hear what this guy just said? Right? It's like, that's asking for a lot, right? A lot of times it's really hard to hit the reroll comp as well as be able to tempo to 9. Those are like two polar opposites. Like, okay, let's just high roll all the units and have enough gold to do everything. It's like, well, yeah, every comp's gonna be strong if you can do that, and that's why I think it's really average. I don't think this Poppy comp does really well unless you make it to these high levels where you can support it with like some better units, right? Like now I have Morgana 2, like now I feel safe, right? But I kind of high rolled into the Morgana 2. Morgana also, I have really shit items. That's just my bad. I could have easily made like a secondary good item instead of just playing these items. But it is what it is, right? First game playing this augment, obviously. I think this was the first game I played like properly in set 12 as well. It's like the first game on my stream. So, you know, we make mistakes. I'm not immune to it. By the end of the week, I should be like much better at understanding every single unit's placements and itemizations and how to deal with all of that. But that's what happens early set. So, you know, hopefully this video is still enjoyable. Hopefully you can still learn something from it. I tried my best to point out all my mistakes as well as explain what my thought processes were so that everybody can like kind of coalesce together and understand what I'm doing. But yeah, I still don't expect to get much better than a 4th. I've been fighting some really weak boards. This board I never win. I'm even saying it on my stream. This board I probably never win. Right? This board I probably never win either. So, you know, if there's 3 people that you probably never beat, the chances are you're probably getting 4th because it's gonna be 3 people ahead of you. Unless you just preserve way more HP than them, which, you know, maybe happens, but probably not. Yeah, like this board, this sucks. I just fought this guy, remember? I fought him both times he was in my pool instantly. I didn't get to dodge him a single time. This is pretty much unwinnable for me because the problem is this Varus with the Execute, I'm just always gonna die instantly. You saw my Poppy. My Poppy could have easily, if he didn't have an execute, this is maybe a doable matchup. Because the reason the execute is so big is when you're playing a melee carry. A lot of times the melee carries slowly lose health. Then they cast or they do their main damage dealing move and they recover all that health. So for example, Poppy can go all the way down to like 10 HP, and then if she does her ult, bang, she hits 3 people, she does a shit ton of damage, and she heals back all of her health, right? So as you saw, my Poppy was getting hit, and then as soon as she was really low HP, she got executed before she was able to cast. If she was able to cast, she would have double healing on her, right, that I put. She would have instantly healed back that HP, and then if she heals back that HP, it's just like a cycle. That's how melee carries usually work. They take a bunch of damage, and then they slowly attack, and you need attack speed, you need to be uninterrupted, you heal, and then you do a bunch of damage, right? And then with that damage, you heal back, and it goes, that's what I mean by it goes infinite, right? That's why the executes are really bad matchups when you're playing a melee carry. 5 Pyro into any melee unit, it is very difficult to beat the 5 Pyro. Because the 5 Pyro is always going to execute your melee carries, and like where you would get a lot of value in casting and getting a bunch of health back, you would just lose it instantly and you just die and just, that's it. The game's over. Here, I'm 1 off Nico 3. I should have rolled, I think. Because I don't know if I win against this guy. I should be rolling for Nico 3. So hopefully I don't lose this. I thought this was a top 4, if I'm not mistaken. So I think I beat this guy, and then I probably lose the next fight. But I should be rolling for... I think I'm trying to make it to 9 again, right? Because I need to like roll for some upgrades, right? Before I had to roll because I needed to upgrade Fiora. I need to upgrade other units. My Fiora has no synergies, by the way. Right? I'm 3 Bastion. I should lose this for a warrior for Fiora. Rakan is Preserver. Here I'm trying to see if I can level to play Preserver, because I think that's my highest cap. And then Preserver with Fairy. This is why I was keeping in the Lilia in the first place, was because I thought that I can make this work. But I should put in Warrior here, right? I think I'm just too late to figure it out because I want to position, right? So I'm like, oh, I don't have time. I'm positioning. I should have done both of these, right? So I'm going to pause the video for a second. I'll talk about this last round because this is the round that I lose, and I'll tell you what I could have done better. I don't think it would have mattered that much because this guy looks like he's way stronger than me in terms of upgrades, but this is what I should have done. Number 1, sell the Lilia. Who gives a shit? I'm 3 Bastion because in my head I was thinking to myself, if I don't hit Preserver, then I'll just play 4 Bastion, right? So my idea was on level 9, it's either 4 Bastion or 4 Preserver, or 2 Preserver, right? Now, I didn't optimize my board well. I was playing 3 Bastion for most of this time. I didn't even talk about it in this video because I completely forgot that I was supposed to talk about this. I'm sorry. Hopefully you watched until the end of this video. I should have lost this for a Preserver way long ago, as soon as I hit the Morgana, because Preserver is so strong for my board, and this Lilia is not really helping at all. So I should have already been playing 2 Preserver, but that's okay. Maybe I just didn't see one in shop. I don't know if I was talking about it live, or if I was just confused because I was talking to chat. But anyways, that's the first mistake. Second mistake. I need to buy this Gwen, right? Fiora is my main other damage dealer. Getting Warrior for Fiora. She has a whole prismatic augment dedicated towards her. Getting Warrior in for Fiora is really strong, right? Whenever you dedicate augments towards units, you obviously need to put in the synergies to help those units as well. Last thing. Salvager. I should have done Salvager. I could have actually made proper items, right? I could have fixed the Morgana items, right? Remember I was talking these Morgana items were bad. Remember I was talking like these items were bad. Like I could have made Morgana Abyss items, right? There's enough components of rods and tiers between the two of these that I could have easily made really good Morgana items. And the charm just showed up. So now it's gonna be the last round. I think I narrowly lose this, or maybe I just straight up lose this. But you know, it is what it is. I don't think I was gonna place higher than 4th anyways, because I never beat the Pyro guy, and I don't think I even beat this guy, even if I optimized the board. Because look at how hard I lost this round anyways. Even if I optimize my board, I still lose against this guy, I'm pretty sure. I think it's always a 4th. But I digress. Hopefully this was enjoyable. Sometimes my hero augment videos get picked up by like Google and everybody like watches them and stuff. So if you are somebody that's new, make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me out. I try and do this type of content where I go over the VODs, and I talk about all the mistakes I make as well as what I could do better, as well as sometimes like they're fun ones where it's like clearly a high roll and then I'm all giddy and giggling and just laughing at how silly the game is. But hopefully that was enjoyable and you learned a little bit of something and you can try out Poppy and play it a little bit better than I did. Thank you for watching and hope you enjoy the rest of your day. See ya.